Hi, today we will explore how to test your product ideas. We will discuss the different tests like proof of concept, prototyping, MVP and others. We will talk about the risks we discussed before, transform uncertainty into confidence and bring all these tests together with a use case. Let's go! The double diamond we discussed earlier is split into the problem and solution space. In reality, it is more iterative, but for now we can roughly split it like this. After spending a good amount of time understanding which problem to solve or the customer need you want to pursue, you really must get going. From that moment, the time starts ticking for you and the team. Stakeholders are getting excited. Sales want to sell, marketing wants to promote, and your boss wants to see results. Unfortunately, this pressure is also why testing ideas often goes wrong. The team might be too scared to talk to the customers or test their rough ideas with real people who pay for a solution. Or when a team, a manager, or even higher up confuses their assumptions and biases with facts and knowledge. You probably heard the sentence, "Look, I've been working here for several years. I know what our customer wants." This often results in skipping important feedback moments to gain speed, making leaps to a finished product, and nobody cares. The unfortunate but realistic situation everybody is in is that we will live in uncertainty about our solutions until we test them. Uncertainties whether our product is valuable for our customers, if it's viable for us, feasible to make and usable for our users. Not only is an experience and knowledge you have about a product not always helping, it might even get worse. The more knowledge you have about the product, the bigger the knowledge gap between you and the user and the less you understand their struggles. So the moment you have a possible solution for something, you should know that it is embedded with your assumptions. So let's see these different types of tests and put them into the context of these risks and uncertainty. I will discuss the differences between minimal viable product, proof of concept, prototype, alpha, beta testing, and pilot. There are various explanations everywhere. I will not say mine is the only one. It is about the essence that you need to get rid of uncertainty, test your assumptions, and test them as fast as possible while maintaining the quality of the results. Firstly, the MVP, or minimum viable product. The goal here is clear. Validate the core business hypothesis most efficiently using only the essential features. This is crucial in the early stage, before we dive into full-scale development. In the explanation of Eric Ries, the author of the Lean Startup and the person popularizing the term MVP, he talks about that version of a product. This means that there isn't one type of MVP out there. It depends on the core business idea you need to test. For example, Zappos, an online shoe web shop, had its core business idea around people buying shoes online without trying them on. This was very new at that time. So he created an MVP by setting up a website and acting like Zappos sold shoes from an inventory. In reality, the photos of the shoes were from a shop nearby, and when he sold the shoe, he bought it from those shops and sent it to the customer. The customers were happy, he knew he could make some money, value and viability confirmed. Another example is Dropbox, whose core business idea was around an online storage system. They first had to test if the technology required was even feasible, then created a video of how the product would work and tested if people wanted to sign up for a private release. And they were very interested. Value and viability were confirmed. Now, there are more ways you can do it, but these are two different examples of how they tested the value and viability of their idea. It's a balancing act, ensuring that the product has enough to attract users and validate the idea without overdeveloping too soon. Moving on to the proof of concept, or PoC. The objective here is to demonstrate the feasibility and potential of your idea, but in its most rudimentary form. Depending on what is more questionable, a proof of concept or MVP might come first, as you can see in the Dropbox and Zappos example. Next is the prototype stage. Here the aim is to explore, test and refine your product designs and functionality. This stage evolves continuously, starting from early development stages and increasing fidelity as you progress. The focus is on iterative design and functional refinement, advancing from basic outlines to more detailed working models. In prototyping, the main risks that we test are usability and feasibility. Then we come to alpha testing. We are already in the process of developing our product. Our product has some basic functioning versions, but it's not yet ready for many external eyes. With alpha testing, we identify and fix major issues. The primary focus is on technical stability and overall functionality. Here, the risks being tested are feasibility and usability, ensuring that the product performs as expected under various conditions. With beta testing, we involve external users and focus on validating product performance, user satisfaction, and market readiness. It occurs in the late development stage when the product is nearly complete. The goal is to gather diverse user feedback under real-world conditions, validating overall performance and market viability. In beta testing, we look at usability, viability, and value, ensuring the product meets user expectations and market needs. Finally, the pilot phase. This is where your product is tested in targeted real-world environments. It's about assessing performance, integration, and user acceptance in the scenarios it's designed for. The pilot is often used in more risky environments and can, in other scenarios, overlap, follow, or be replaced with beta testing. The risks are being tested in the pilot phase are viability and usability, which are the final checks before your product enters the market. I think evaluating these tests in an overview in the context of these risks and uncertainties might be insightful. So you first tackle the core idea or concept of the product. Let's call this conceptual uncertainty. It includes questions about the product market fit, value proposition, customer appeal, and viability. Important decisions have to be made before you start building. When you are confident about this, you start building, and we get into the functional uncertainty. Here you will solve technical problems, ensure the design works well, get different parts of the product to work together properly, and ensure the product does what it's supposed to do without issues. The MVP and proof of concept will get you confidence in the conceptual uncertainty. Prototyping is quite a broad technique, from low fidelity that answers questions in this area to high fidelity that answers questions more in the functional uncertainty. Here we also use alpha and beta testing to iron out technical issues and enhance user experience. Also, here's the potential pilot you want to do. Interestingly, you see that certain risks can be found on both sides of the spectrum. MVP and beta testing are both checking for value, but the MVP checks if there is or isn't any value, and beta testing is about refining the product to get the most value we already know there is. But it could still mean that during beta testing we see a huge gap in product market fit and we have to go back. As I said, we can only do our best to eliminate uncertainty, but we can't prevent all risk. As you see with countless of examples of the best companies in the world and failed product launches. This is not to demotivate you, but having this reality check makes you and your team better prepared that this is just part of the game. Now we have quite a good overview of all these tests and how to mitigate the 4 risks and prevent bugs. If you take this approach step by step, it might feel like a slow process, and to be honest, it can be if you're not careful. It is important to mention a concept that's becoming increasingly vital in agile product development: continuous discovery. This is about regularly interacting with your users, continuously gathering feedback, and testing your assumptions every single week. So rather than just starting up the whole vehicle of this testing procedure, you're already in the rhythm with your customer. We will deep dive into continuous discovery in the next video, so subscribe if you don't want to miss that. For now, let's go to the specially crafted use case to see all these tests in action. I noticed that friends and family struggled with learning a new language. They often start enthusiastically, but lose momentum over time. To address this, I envisioned an app featuring a flashcard system that does not revolve around chapters and themes, but is adaptive based on how easy or difficult some translations were, how fast the user answered, and whether it was right or wrong. Could be something, right? Instead of building an app from scratch, I used a free and open source flashcard application called Anki for an MVP. I created a document with starter lessons for English and Spanish that anyone could import in this free software. I put this document and description online in Facebook and Reddit groups. I can measure how often it's been downloaded, and I added a new document with lessons at the end of the flashcards. With this, I tested my uncertainty about whether people actually engaged with it and wanted more. The MVP was insightful. 120 people downloaded the document and 30 continued. Also, the feedback I got online was great, revealing that while the concept was sound, the complexity of Anki was a barrier to just learning a language. User feedback specifically pointed to a need for a more intuitive interface and personalized learning experiences. To address this and challenge my biggest uncertainty on this run, I plan to develop an adaptive algorithm that I will use for my app, and conducted a feasibility study for the technical aspect of this algorithm. After iteratively improving the algorithm, I was confident about the results, so I moved to prototyping the app. I started with basic sketches of wireframes of the app interface and presented it to a small group of users who gave feedback on the complexity they talked about online. Then, progressing to mid-fidelity, I developed clickable prototypes that simulated app navigation and basic features, and later moved on to near-final prototypes with complete design elements and more advanced features. We started building, and we had a basic app in place. It is time to identify and fix major technical bugs in the alpha testing phase. We also focused on improving the educational content based on feedback from internal testers. This process was crucial in preparing the app for the next phase, beta testing. We can now test the product in an app form with these early adapters that stuck with us since the MVP. It is a great milestone after all the work we put in together with these users. This phase was about ironing out minor issues and understanding how our app fits in the user's daily life and learning routines. The feedback was immensely valuable, leading to several iterations before we felt confident about the app's launch. We didn't do a pilot since beta testing was enough for us. For example, if the app were built for a university and implemented in class, we would create a pilot. Make one class use the app for a while and observe how the students and teachers use it and how it can be improved to create the most value for them. And that wraps up our journey through the landscape of testing your product ideas. From creative MVPs to validating your core business hypothesis to the nitty-gritty details in alpha and beta testing. Remember, the heart of the matter is not about using my exact explanation or names, but to get the essence. Learn fast and smart, and test if what you are building is valuable, usable, feasible and viable. It's about daring to challenge your assumptions and embracing the wisdom of others, your users. If you enjoyed this deep dive and found it insightful, you can hit the thumbs up or subscribe. I will see you in the next video.